Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and it is the last of the long forms of the day. And so we've made it. We've made it to the end. Thank heavens. There's been ups and downs, there's been laughs, and there's been anger. But we're going to finish on something light and pleasant. You've seen from the thumbnail, it's Lorna Slater. And we always know that when Lorna's involved, it's always humorous because it's always going to fail. If anyone in government has failed more than Humza Yousaf, it's Lorna Slater. A woman destined never to succeed at anything. Well, after the massive debacle of the DRS, which apparently wasn't her fault, even though everyone else said it would work, but she decided to pull it anyway because crybaby, not getting glass for some reason. She's got a new thing that she's been put in charge of, and we know straight away that's going to be an absolute disaster as well. And it hasn't even started yet, and she's already on the defensive. I promise it won't crash and burn like the last one. I won't make mistakes this time. I'll get it right this time. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you. If she's already on the defensive, it's because she knows before it's even started that it's going to fail. Because after all, Lorna Slater's running it. Of course it's going to fail. Let's take a look to see what her latest wheeze is and why we know it's going to fail. Here goes. So, Lorna Slater insists she will not see a repeat of the DRS as she defends the circular economy talks. I promise, she says, I won't fail like I did last time and the time before that. This time it will work. This time it will be right. And this time nobody will have to be fired. It's a joke. Everything she does is rubbish because she lacks the intelligence. She's literally too stupid. Lorna Slater has insisted the internal market issues with the deposit return scheme will not be repeated. Lorna Slater has called on the UK government to manage divergence between nations, bringing forward environmental policies in a manner that respects devolution. Why's the UK government got to do this? Why aren't you doing this? Is it too hard for you, Lorna? And why should there be differences between policies if the policies are right? Or are you just wanting to be different for the sake of being different? Seems weird, doesn't it? The Greens co-leader has hit back at criticism thrown her way by the Scottish Conservatives over ensuring her Circular Economy Scotland Bill does not get halted due to the UK Internal Market Act. It's likely to. Last time the DRS, they were supposed to apply for it almost straight away. They didn't. And it was about 2 months before it was supposed to be implemented, before they applied for the exemption. They'd forgotten, basically. And then Parliament rushed it through in a matter of weeks and got it through in time. And then she went, no, it's not good enough. And just killed the DRS outright because couldn't do her job. Of course not. Doing a job like this is complex. It requires hard work. It requires intelligence. And that's something that's just beyond her, isn't it? Hard work and intelligence. It's not the first things you think of when you think of Lorna Slater, is it? Anyway, Miss Slater, the Scottish Government's Circular Economy Minister. Well, I think she's more of a long, thin economy minister, but, you know, depends. She was criticised for not yet having a specific discussion with the independent advisors and the Office of Internal Market. So she had... Again, she's presenting a bill and she hasn't presented and she hasn't spoken to the very people she needs to speak to, the UK Internal Market Office. Have you done that? No. Why not? Well, I didn't do it last time and it worked out fine. Ms Slater has stressed the framework legislation she is bringing forward does not contain any provision which would trigger the IMA, in her opinion, and said that the OIM had no formal role in approving legislation. Again, in her opinion. Has she taken advice on it? And they asked her that, and she said no, because in her opinion, they didn't need to take advice. I'm sorry, Lorna, I don't trust your opinion. You have proved yourself time and time again incapable of understanding even quite basic fundamentals. So why should we trust you when you start talking about legal matters and complex issues involving intergovernmental policies? This is a woman who can barely tie her own shoelaces. Her legislation would give ministers the powers to introduce a range of policies, including the restriction of banning of single-use items, but that would require second separate secondary legislation at a later date. And they like secondary legislation because it doesn't have to go through a full parliamentary hearing. It can just be signed off by a minister, and therefore is undemocratic and is often thought out as being a great idea by morons who've found themselves in positions of authority, like Lorna. In a letter to Tory MSP Maurice Golden, seen by the Scotsman, Ms Slater has warned that the Internal Market Act has the potential to radically undermine laws passed by Scotland's democratically elected parliament. And that's the problem. It's undermining democracy. Lorna Slater, too stupid to do this, says, I know the only way I can get my things to work is if I undermine democracy, and don't let anyone see it and just bring them in. It's not a wonder Scotland is in the state it's in when idiots like Lorna find themselves in a position where they can do things without other people looking, without other people examining, without other people saying, you do know that this is an incredibly insane idea. But she's going to do it anyway, because she's not going to ask those people. This is why, of course, the SNP, no matter what the policy is, they never ask experts, because the experts will go and look at them and go, are you completely lunatic? And then they'll go, yes, but we're still going to do it. So that's why we're not asking you. She said further consideration will, of course, be needed to given to the IMA when and where powers under the bill are exercised. So where and when they're exercised, not before we bring the bill in that might need that input. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Scotland's third biggest moron, after, of course, number one moron, Shona Robertson, and number two moron, Humza Yousaf. But she does get at least the bronze prize for the third stupidest person in Scottish politics. Anyway, she said, at the point powers may be exercised under the bill, any potential impact on the operation of the UK's internal market can and will be addressed through the common framework process, which may take months or years. We've already highlighted the Circular Economy Bill to the other UK administrations through the relevant common framework. Yes, but there's telling them about it, and there's the formal process of getting it applied through the IMO. Having reached agreement on policy divergence through the common framework process, an exclusion to the IMA should, let's circle that word, should be given effect, in line with the assurances offered in both Houses of Parliament by the UK government ministers in December 2020. Should is not will, Lorna. They're different words. They have completely different meanings. For example, you should step down as an MSP because you're very stupid. But that is not the same as you will step down as an MSP because you're very stupid. Do you get it? Anyway, she said, we hope that all parties to the common framework will seek to manage divergence by agreement and in a manner that respects devolution, and that we will not see a repeat of the DRS scheme experience where the work of the common framework was largely ignored by the UK government. Excuse me? Where you didn't even talk to the UK government, where you didn't apply for the internal market exemption, and where you were crazily doing things outside of what all the experts were saying because you thought it was a good idea. And what you failed to take into account was that thing that we live in, reality. So don't be blaming Parliament for your own shortcomings, dear Lorna. God almighty, how much stupidity in one arrogant, tall woman. Never mind. Coming up. So there we go. We've all seen what she's done in the past, and we've heard now what she's saying this time. So, are you confident? Are you all out there in YouTube land confident that Lorna Slater will not make a complete pig's ear of this whole bill that's filled with mays, mights, shoulds, oughts? This is a woman who hasn't done her own work. This is a woman who is crazily bringing forward a bill that will require the undermining of democracy in order to get things through. And then when it does crash and burn, she's already laying the groundwork to blame other people for the work she hasn't done. It's no wonder, is it? It is no wonder. I'm watching it now. What you're watching is someone building an edifice that is going to fall. You see it's going to fall. I see it's going to fall. Everybody sees it's going to fall. And yet she's still putting brick upon brick upon brick. She must know it's going to fail. And that's why she's trying to gaslight everybody. She knows it's such a badly done piece of legislation. The trouble is she's running out of time. 2.5 years, they've gone. They're out and she's done. And she knows if it fails now, she's got to start from scratch. She hasn't got the time to do it. So she's got to keep building in the hope that it doesn't fall over until after the next Holyrood elections. And then it's someone else's fault, not hers. Oh, it won't be, Lorna. We know whose fault it is. Finishing there. Thank you very much for watching today. It all starts again tomorrow. There may be a few flash videos, but until then, thank you. Goodbye.